Everyone.
Oh, we're live. Here we go. Hey, everyone.
Hi,
Welcome
everyone.
back.
Yeah.
Yes, we were having a productive Monday morning, and here we are
Mhm.
connected to talk about love and money. I love those
Yeah.
glasses so much.
Thank
When
you.
you wear them, it just makes me smile. Yes. And our like live announcement of your big day. I wanted to.
Yeah. Today is my wedding anniversary.
So awesome.
It is. It's really crazy to think that, well, we've been married 9 years, and so we were together 10 years because we had a year getting ready. Well, more like 9 months getting ready for our wedding. And that a year before that was such a different reality for me. I mean, even 3 months before all that, like that's
Yeah.
how fast our whole life can change.
Yes, I am sometimes so in awe of that reality right there where you go, wow, everything. If you just like, if anyone watching right now takes just a moment to go like, where was I last August 16th? Whoa, a lot can change. So first, congratulations. I love you and
Thanks.
Larry together. It's so fun to hang out with you. Abe and I were just saying when we come to Boulder in a couple weeks, like we got to have a double date.
Yeah, definitely dinner double
Yes.
date. That would be awesome.
Yes. Are you doing anything fun to celebrate?
Well, we went to Santa Fe last week, and that was
Okay.
kind of a nice little retreat. I mean, we've been celebrating for a while. I keep thinking, oh yeah, we can celebrate our anniversary. So I almost forgot today. I did forget, but because we spent this whole week playing. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes it's true. People have been asking me like, are you going to feel totally different when you get married? I'm like, no, our life is already like so we're just it's a beautiful ceremony to honor the day and life just keeps going the way that it is, I would imagine.
well, I did feel different on the day. I do remember feeling such a different thing because I hadn't ever gotten married before. And there
Yeah.
I was, 43. He was turning 50 in a month from then. And I remember feeling a lot different, which it required then being in the relationship in a different way because I had made this bigger commitment than I've ever made before. I mean, it's kind of like what it takes for business stuff. I think that making that commitment and to yourself and it landed in my world in a powerful way, which I loved. I loved that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting because I hadn't thought about it from that perspective before because for me it's second marriage and it's like I think because I've had that experience before, it's a different experience altogether. Yeah. And you're right, I think this is a great way for us to talk about topic for today when we're talking about myths around love and money. I think some of the myths about marriage in general. I'm so curious what you would say about this. What are some of the myths that people hold about marriage? And how does it hold them back in love?
Well, for the women that I talk to, I would say one of the big ones is this idea that, they have to compromise, they have to give something up. And I don't like to think of it like that. I mean, I guess I don't even buy into that. I like to be in the space where it's like, okay, how is this contributing to my life and what are we creating together? Rather from the place, because I mean, really, if you're coming from a place where you already expect that there's going to be a loss if you were to choose relationship, then who's going to choose that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, where do you think that comes from? Because I hear this all the time with people, like they're afraid to initiate a relationship because they think it'll be all consuming. And so that there's that subconscious belief that they can't have all the things they want and it has to be draining. So I'm curious where you think that comes from. I definitely have ideas around it because I had that belief before, big time.
I mean, it's all of this stuff comes from our past somehow. Maybe we watched our mom kind of shrink or shrivel or not be like fully expressed in their life. And so we decided that that's the way it is. Or we've had experiences where we settled into a relationship and we're afraid to have our voice, or whatever beliefs that came with not being able to be an equal partner, or picking someone who just keeps creating that in our lives based on whatever our bodies knew before.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's fascinating how if you have that subconscious belief, like say you watched your mom shrink when you were little, and then you have that subconscious belief, it's going to carry through and you're going to track your reality looking to confirm that that's true because it's your subconscious belief. And then you probably do attract relationships where they are all consuming or very consuming and don't feel free. And, I would say win-win relationship.
Yeah.
I
What
definitely
were you aware of with that?
Yeah, I was gonna say I definitely did that in my history.
Oh yeah. Do you think that's, is that what you were gonna say about that? Like, what do you say about that?
Yeah, I think that when any of the myths that we would talk about today, it's coming from some sort of subconscious belief that we buy into and don't know it usually, right? Once we are conscious of those subconscious beliefs, then they're brought to the surface and then we can actually address them because we go, oh, do I choose to keep believing this or not? And so in, the myth in relationship that it's going to be all consuming, I think it's similar to the money belief that money is a lot of responsibility and causes stress, and responsibility in the heavy way, not like the way of like, oh yay, money is a fun thing, a fun game that I can win at. I think people take it on like, oh, having a lot of money could cause me more stress. Like you've heard the saying, more money, more problems, and I just, when I hear people say that, I'm like, what? Let's debunk that as fast as possible. And I do believe that it comes from when we were young, unintentionally. It's not like our parents were trying to teach us negative money lessons or love lessons. It's that they learned them from their childhood and then it gets carried on until somebody in the family ends that cycle of believing. And so I really like to help people look at those myths and pick them apart and decide, do I want to believe it or not? Because sometimes we get healthy downloads or empowering downloads because everybody's downloads and what they choose to believe is going to be different.
Well, I'm glad you said that because that's really powerful to be able to say, oh, what is this download creating for me? I know I've gotten a lot of creative inspiration from growing up in the family that I did. Yeah. And I definitely value that. And I just think it's so interesting when we can recall like even one comment that someone made at some point that then becomes the whole reality, and how crazy that is when you really reflect on, wow, I made this one comment my whole reality about what I could have. And one of the ones for me was my aunt told me that I was overweight. And just based on, the charts in the doctor's office, she was like, well, how tall are you? How much do you weigh? She goes, that's bad. And that one comment stuck with me and informed choices for years and really messed with my health and everything. Yeah. So, those are the same things that I see with money stuff for people.
Oh, yeah. And love.
Yeah. And why aren't we making a choice for something else? Like, I want to live in a world where I can be aware of that stuff and move beyond it.
Yeah.
Which is my practice.
Yeah, totally. And I love the word practice. Yeah. Because I have to say, I had some huge money breakthroughs last week. And I'm in awe continuously about how you can keep having breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough, even when you spend your entire life on this kind of work. Yeah. So it's like, I read at least 2 books a week. I listen to podcasts. I am in this world big time. Mm-hmm. And I'm constantly practicing self-reflective awareness. And it's it's so fun to know that it's a never ending practice of growth where I go like, oh, that's the block that was holding me back. And I had no idea, so I had a really interesting one come up. And so that, tying to our topic today about myths. So today, everyone who's watching, we are talking about myths about what you believe about love and money and where they come from. So we're talking about how when you're a kid, you get downloads. This is going to be from preachers, teachers, authority figures, media, siblings, parents you watch. I mean, it comes from everywhere. And you start to buy into these beliefs because when you're a kid, you have no filtration system. And so you don't really discriminate the information that's coming in. You just watch it, you're learning, you're being told, you're observing, and you're starting to buy into that that's true. And even if it's not. And so then you replicate it across your life course because your brain wants to prove yourself to be right because it's a survival instinct to protect yourself. And so if you have a story that you believe, then you track your surroundings for it, and then you'll keep recreating it until you get clear that like, hey, is this a myth or is this true? And so, this weekend it was Friday. Yeah, Abe and I were working at the coffee shop, and it was so interesting what happened. And I'm sure that everyone watching, like, it happens fast and you don't always catch it. And the thing I think that I love about the tools that you and I teach people is that you just have the tools to catch it more quickly. So before, when things like this would happen, I would spin out and wouldn't really understand why. And sometimes it would be like weeks. And maybe I would never figure it out. Right. And I would get upset with my person or the people that whatever was going on, or I'd filter it or I'd mask it in some way. And in the moment, like this, it was so interesting to me because he was talking about going on a work trip. And he's going on a work trip for like a week in September. And I had this instant response, totally unconsciously, of like lockdown protection mode. It was very fascinating. This is tied to like previous relationships, like when he would travel and what would go on those trips, and tied to when I was a kid. And all of this started happening like fast. My response to him was really intense. And I was like, what is going on? And I just, I could see myself. It was almost like I was seeing myself outside of myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is going on? And I was talking, but internally I was like, what is going on? And so then, we stopped talking for a minute, and then I just started journaling. I was like, I got to get to the core of this. Like, I got really upset internally. I was like, I feel stressed. I feel like charged. It was like fight, flight, freeze moment. So I started journaling, and I went back all the way to like my childhood, where I was like, God, I'm afraid of being left out. Like my fear is being left out. And so then I started to cascade and like domino back to the root cause of that. And then look at the years of replication of that, where it was like, oh, left out here, left out here, left out here, my perception of being left out.
Yeah.
And then it like went away completely. And I was like, oh my God, this had nothing to do with Abe at all. And it was so cool because then I was like, hey, can we talk about this? Because I think he could tell like something was going on, but he's also learned to let me like process a little bit, and then I can come to the table and be like, here's what's going on. So I talked to him about it, and it was amazing. His response was amazing. The thing that was so incredible was to just know that you can actually collapse these things very quickly. And when you get to the core of it, you don't have to keep playing it out forever. And right. So, I'd say tied back to this conversation, it's like a myth that I was buying into is that when someone goes on a trip, you're going to be left behind. Like that's a pretty big abandonment fear.
Yeah.
And so then when I got to the bottom, I was like, okay, well, like, let's talk about it. And then you can shift your whole reality around it. It doesn't have to take hold of your connection, your relationships, and your money. Because it was also tied to money. It was like, I want to go on a whole bunch of trips. I want to have fun. I want to play. And it was the instant response of back to when I didn't have money. And it was like, I don't have enough money to do that. Like, I'm going to be left behind because I don't have enough money to fit in, type of thing.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Fascinating.
It is fascinating. And it's so cool that having the tools and having the awareness to even take a pause when you notice that, to give it some space, because what most people, I think, get stuck in is that then they're believing the myth. Like, it's not a myth, it's reality. This is the way it is. This is my truth. This is how it's going to be. And I'm in this now cycle of suffering or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So it's so liberating.
Yeah.
Like it's just like such freedom when you can learn how to slow down and interact with yourself in a different way so you can respond instead of react. And to me,
Yeah.
that's the mastery of life. And, you know, anything we're talking about here, love, business, fulfillment, freedom, it's mastery of self. And it's going, okay, I can slow down and connect with myself fully to understand how to move forward instead of continuing to play that out.
Yeah. What is here? Because
Yeah.
it's the resistance, the reaction, the buying into it, the making it real and true. And then you're basically becoming that thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious when you were talking, I mean, for you, well, actually I have so many questions. Let's go with this one. What would you say that you come across frequently with people you work with in terms of the biggest myths they buy into about love?
Well, one, the loss, like they'd have to give up something in their life in order to have that. So it's kind of like this tit for tat.
Okay.
Okay, if I want that, I'm going to have to lose this. The other one, I think, is that there's a lack of people out there that because most people who come to me are not 20. I mean, they're in their 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s going, okay, I'd like to have a relationship. And oh, there's probably no one out there that's going to be someone for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So like over time people start to feel afraid of the time piece.
I think
Where
it is. It's time. It's, yeah, the scarcity piece. There's the, making decisions about like what's possible and not possible, because if it hasn't happened, I just did a little reading this morning, and what came out of that was, really, okay, well, if you want to meet someone, you got to meet people. And many times I think people are kind of then manifesting the reality of the limitation because they've decided that there's not enough, there are no good ones left. And then, like you said, then your mind is scanning the world to affirm that, and takes really breaking the cycle. I believe that the desire piece isn't enough to like create it, but the desire piece, I think, is enough to say it exists. And now what are you inspired to do or change or be that can allow you to receive that? And that's the part where there's some work to do, because if you're buying into the myth that, okay, I'm this age, therefore there's the good ones are gone, whatever that is, a good one, all the good ones are taken.
Yeah.
Then you have to change that. You have to let go of that, create a new space for, okay, I have the desire. It only takes one. What can I be to receive the possibilities?
Yeah. That's interesting. I'm reading a lot about desire right now as the point of the initiation of creation, really. And so then we go, I think I love what you're saying about how that's not all it takes. And that's, to me, the starting place. But then you've got to shift who you're being and who you're becoming in the process of knowing that you can get what you desire. You become the person along the way. And this could relate to love or money, right? So it's like if you're in a desperate, there's no more good people out there, there's not enough money out there, it's all been done before type of believing, then you're going to be stuck in that and recreating that versus going like, who am I going to become to attract the person or the money that I desire, and trust that there's an abundant flow all the way around. There's always amazing people out there, and there's always plenty of ideas to make all the money that you want to make.
Yeah, and it's right there. It's not like it's outside of us. It's not like we have to find that who do we have to become. It's right there. It's just underneath a bunch of lies and myths and limitations and things that, have been influencing the choices and the way of functioning that keep people either single or in poverty or not being able to build their business, it does take a next level. I mean, I love that relationship becomes that reflection that helps us to like see ourselves in a different way. Like when we're in struggle, it's like, okay, well, what's here? What's actually happening? And we can kind of get to a deeper awareness of what's real for us. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I
what
mean,
would
it's
you
a lot.
say when you help people figure out what they're buying into in their belief system, what's a tip you have for helping people do that?
I mean, what are you saying? What are you complaining about? What are you looking out into your life and saying is not happening? I talked to someone the other day, and they've been going on dates, and every date is like, okay, they never, men don't connect, men don't listen, or men, just talk about themselves all the time. And at the same time, I was really aware of, what energy we can be that then gets to make that so every time. I'm not saying you're not going to meet someone here and there who just wants to nonstop talk about themselves, but it is also like, what's right about that? If you meet someone and they're like in their own world, how are you also maybe in your own world and not actually, open to that mutual flow?
Well, I always, it's like no matter, I read something really cool this morning. It said, you never get the law of attraction is not designed to get you what you want. It gets you what you expect. It brings you what you expect because your expectations are based on your belief system. So if you keep telling yourself that men are talk too much and they don't give you room and they don't want to connect, that's what you're going to keep getting because that's what you're believing to expect. So it's the same thing with money, right? I think one of the biggest myths that the people I work with, and myself included, that I continuously am breaking down and reconstructing is the myth that you have to work hard to make money. Like I think it's one of the biggest among entrepreneurs that are pretty high drive people already. That it's that like, I got to work my ass off to get what I want. And true, you can work hard to get what you want. Like that is a way to do it. You might not make it as big. The hard part about that is you're not going to feel good along the way, and you're not going to feel good when you get there because you're conditioning yourself to always expect to have to work hard. And so you work hard and then you get there and then you see the next mountain and you got to do that again. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, if I want to 10x my business, I've got to work 10x as hard. I'm already burnt out thinking about that.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely relate to that one. That's definitely one I've noticed in my field. If I want to make a lot more, then I'm going to have to work a lot harder. And, so how do you support people in changing that one?
It's so much fun. I mean, I'm playing with it so much right now and supporting people in it. It's similar. Like first you got to pick apart your belief system and go, where did I get the belief that I've got to work hard to make money? And if I look back at my upbringing, it's like I watched my parents do that big time. I mean, my dad worked, love my dad, love you, Dad. I mean, serial entrepreneur and always working very hard still to this day. And, even like statements like, you like literally you got to work hard to make money or work hard and it'll pay off or work hard and then you can retire someday or, just the work hard mentality is driven into us by in so many places. You see it in the movies, like you see people relaxing and making money and we have a negative judgment of them.
Yes.
You're like, oh, must be nice or, oh, must be lucky for you type of thing. Right. And so it's like, I've held a lot of negative judgment around that for myself. And I hear this with the people I work with all the time. It's like, okay, how can we decide that we're going to let go of the belief that you've got to work hard to make money? What if we play and have fun to make money? What if we completely change our thinking? And the trick is that the same thing, just like attracting someone you love and you've got to become the person you want to be with. you've got to become the person who attracts easy money. And so in easy money making, if you want to make easy money, you've got to start relaxing more, which is hard for driven entrepreneurs to do.
Right. If you want the ease here, you got to start with the ease here.
Exactly.
Which is the same with love and dating. I think that's interesting because you're saying, okay, work hard and make money is one of the common myths, which I totally, definitely have had and still play with that one. And then there's the other of like, oh, those people over there, if they're wealthy, if they're successful, oh, they must have had it easy. How funny is that combo? Okay, I have to work hard, but they have it so easy. Like how different that is.
That is fascinating. I love to think about that. And how, when I didn't have very much money at all, I would always look at wealthy people and think like they got it. They were given to that by their family or something. That was generally my overarching stereotypical belief, which could be true, maybe. And that's okay, right? Like the money, the reason why people who are poor tend to stay poor unless they do the kind of work we're talking about is because they've been trained with a poor mindset. And so, wealthier families think wealthier thoughts and they do wealthier things and they're more aligned with being okay with money. And so they have an easier time attracting it to them. And so it's like if we look at that macro system, I think it's interesting to think about because it's such an individual and macro system thing where we go, the rich stay rich. The reason the rich stay rich is because they have a mindset for wealth. So lately I've been playing a ton with, am I okay with all of my investments making me millions of dollars of passive income a year? Or do I have a belief in me anywhere that like, oh, I didn't earn it somehow then, because I didn't work for it. And the funny thing is like, I worked for the original money that I put the seed money into as the investment to have my money make money for me. But I've had this like stuckness, that I have that has been my history of like, oh, I've got to earn it. I've got to prove myself. I've got to prove that I'm worth it. I've got to prove that I worked hard for it.
Oh man.
Big stuff.
That's a biggie. Because I see that too on the love side. It's like, oh, if I need help finding love or if I effort to it, then maybe it's not like the real thing. Like, oh, I have to like force it or like, why isn't it just happening for me? So many people in the love space, like, oh, well, it should just happen for me. Like, we can't actually create a relationship. Like, if you did create a relationship, it's less of a relationship somehow.
Yeah.
And, I definitely am here to explode that myth.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
I know today's my anniversary. This would not have happened if I didn't make a conscious choice to go, you know what? This does matter to me. This is meaningful to me. What, like you just described, it's like, okay, well, what has been in the way of this? And that took a little processing to get underneath all of the ways that I had held the story that, oh, look, it was easy for her. It was easy for her. It was easy for her. And look, they have the great relationship. I don't. I'm an exception. I must have something really wrong with me. Okay, so if I have something really wrong with me, that means it's probably not part of the plan, even though I have this burning desire.
Yeah. 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 Well, and that's always where the misalignment happens, right? It's like burning desire versus belief that it's not possible for you equals you're not going to attract it. The trick is then exactly like you just said, breaking those parts down of yourself so that you can become the person who has the desire and the belief at the same time and takes action in that direction, which could be hiring a coach, which is going on lots of dates, which for me, reading lots of money books, hanging out with wealthier people and getting rid of all the myths that I believed in my mind about wealthy people and money in general, like that, oh, somehow that's not for me, or I don't know how to do that, or like money's a magical force that I don't have access to somehow, or that you can't make easy money. I mean, it's been so fun to watch my money make money. And I'm like, oh, that is the easiest way to make money. How fun is that? And then I go like, oh, that's how wealthy people think. They're always thinking along the lines of, how do I have my money make money for me? So my mantra lately, I'm like, oh yeah, my money is my employee and I want to put it to work powerfully, you know? And so it's like all the money that I generate in my business, I just reinvest in my business and reinvest into passive streams of income and investments. And I just go, oh, heck yeah. I want to sit back every day and watch passive streams of income come into my bank account while I choose exactly how to design my life. And all of that took me working on me first. And same with love. You know, I look at like my relationship with Abe and I'm just like, it took energy and focused attention and direction and constant daily action to become the person who has these thoughts and then gets to have this reality. It wasn't just that it dropped in my lap magically because I sat on the couch and thought, I want a lovely relationship and money to come into my bank account.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, being with the space of all that without like then having to fall into any of these like spirals of, oh my God, it's going to be so hard, or oh my God, you know, I'm not them. I'm not like, I don't want to be like that. So therefore, then you're kind of pushing money or love away, like whatever the things are. And, you know, being able to ask for what you really want and take conscious steps towards it.
Yes.
And I love, you know, I love the stretch because, you know, even for you, I'm guessing that 5 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, you didn't have some of these possibilities in your world around other ways to make money. Like that was a choice to say, what can I do? Like you're present with yourself. You're aware of yourself enough to go, oh, you know what? When I do this, you know, that's a lot of energy. And I'm realizing I would like to create something different and being able to be that really dynamic with it. Because I also meet people who have kind of had the same plan for years and years and years. And it's just like, crawling along and not actually creating that bigger thing for them. And, you know, whether it's, you know, dating, gosh, how many people come to me and they're like, yeah, I wrote a profile 8 years ago and it's still out there. Like, you're not the same person, I hope. And
well, it is. I love the parallels. I love that we get to this because love and money, there's so many parallels. And it's so fun to talk about because I think about someone like putting the profile out there and going like, well, what? No one's coming. And it's the same thing like putting a course out there and thinking it's going to sell itself. Like, it doesn't work that way. You know, like you could have the greatest course on the planet and have no one buy it if no one knows it exists and you're not out there putting your energy into having people interact with it, you know? It's the same thing, you know? So it's like, I think there's a myth, like you were talking about this earlier, how there's a myth that people don't think that they, if there's something wrong with them, if they have to put work energy into it. Right. So it's like, well, why do I need a love coach? You know, and because if something wasn't wrong with me, I wouldn't need help with money or love. You know, like, so it shows that something's wrong with me if I need help. And I look at it as I go like, oh, open the door of opportunity in every way possible to help yourself. We get this one life. We get one life, you know, like make it awesome. Get every resource you possibly can, access everything you possibly can to live the best life you possibly can in this one life. And so I go like, bring it on. Give me every type of coach, consultant, like all the time, because I want to optimize my life and have it be amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
When it's flowing beautifully, someone can help you have a breakthrough. You know?
I mean, that's why we're here to support each other. And it does feel so great. I mean, even this morning, I asked one of my coaches something because I was just noticing some stuff. And it was, you know, it's so lovely to be able to have someone bounce things back. And then all of a sudden the energy's different. All of a sudden I'm available for more.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Okay. I'm curious. I know we've gone 35 minutes. The time
Yeah,
flies by with
I
you.
know.
Keep going and going.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? What do you have going on in world right now that you're creating that you want to share?
Yeah. Well, I'm opening up my second Love Incubator coming up. And I'm really excited about these 5 weeks. It's a 5 week experience, and it's focused on going from protection to connection. So it's kind of interesting because a lot of the things around protection are, well, unconscious, but ways that we've created these protections, barriers, so that we feel safe, but unfortunately that creates these walls against being able to receive what we want in love. So it's actually working a lot with the body and relaxing. We started it with relaxing, like relaxing into um, being able to actually receive a relationship.
Mm.
So that's starting on Sunday, and
Okay.
it's really a foundational thing for a lot of the work that I do, because we're going to be doing processes and reflections. And when you can do this also reveals more of who your person is. Like, you get to see who your person is from that place of space and abundance, rather than this, oh my God, I better not get this again, or oh my God, I can't, date because of this, or I am going to date, see, it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And, from a very small space of creation. So that's what I'm really excited about.
Okay. Do people go? Where should they go for that?
That is at the Love Incubator. So www.theloveincubator.club is
Okay.
where there's registration for that.
So theloveincubator.club.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll show that. That's correct.
Yeah. What about you?
Awesome. I'm so psyched. I finished 30 Money Making Secrets mini course, and it's awesome. It's about 3 hours, and it gets delivered to people in daily doses. So it's about a 5 to 6.5 minute video every day for 30 days. And like, when you're creating something and you have the outline for it, and you're like, for me, I always create from a place of inspiration. So I'm creating it, and in the beginning, I'm like, this is going to be awesome. And then as I'm creating, I'm like, this is even more awesome than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So it's been super fun. So it's completed, and people are already going through it, and it is, yeah, super, super psyched about it.
Yeah.
So I'm stepping into more course development. So that one's free. And then I'm right now outlining a paid for course. And that is fun. And I have a new annual program for people who are super driven and want to work with me for a year in a group setting.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got some really cool stuff.
Yeah, no, that's so great. I love it. Your Money Making Secrets. That's a good example of, having, well, first of all, what you just described is a really good example of how you can begin to create easy money, because you're talking about coming from inspiration. You're really excited about it. You just naturally are finding each day, I'm sure, as an add to that program, which you've already done.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. As I was creating,
That's it.
I could easily do like a week-long intensive training, which I'm doing at some point. But it's been, the more that I create online course work, the more that I go, oh, this is such a fun, easy way to make money and have a huge impact and really help people. I love online courses for myself. Like, I've taken out, I don't know at this point how many thousands of dollars. I don't know, might be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars at this point. But it's for me, it's such a great way to learn on, in my own time, and I can deep dive when I want to, and it's always comes to me at the right time. Mm-hmm. So it's, whatever it is that I'm seeking will just drop in my lap, and then I'm like, oh, this is the next course I need to take. So I always trust that when people find me and they get to that 30 Money Making Secrets course, they're ready for that information, and it's perfectly aligned.
Exactly. key is the alignment and the ease and the play that comes with creating that, because now you have it.
Yeah.
Now it's available. Now people can find you and make the choice to invest in themselves. And so people out there listening, whether it's creating business stuff or creating your love life, the process in getting there, it really matters. You know, neither one of us would have as many products and classes that we do in our business vault for our customers, but also for ourselves, if, you know, we weren't willing to have some fun and ease in our life.
Absolutely. Yeah. What would you say as we close up? Close down, close up. I don't know what the right word is. What would you say is a key takeaway for people watching at any point in time, live or late, or the replay? Like an action step in terms of debunking myths in love, and then I can share one for money. But what would you say would be a good action step for them for this week?
I would say, let's see, what would it be? Really, I mean, it's listening to your heart. Like, what is there? You know, if you have that desire for love there, listen to that, because that's why you're here. You're here to, like, that's your destiny right there. And then it's about getting the consciousness and the steps to move forward. And if anywhere that feels uncomfortable, that's natural. It's a stretch. We're not meant to not ever be uncomfortable. We're meant to be able to, be willing to do what it takes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be, that doesn't equate to exhaustion and pain and that. It's just like, oh, okay.
Yes. I was thinking about, this is so funny. I was looking at my website because I was like, oh, I want to read what I put on my website this morning. It didn't save. So
oh no,
I gotta completely redo it. But anyway, I've been thinking a lot about, for me, the key takeaway or action step for people is exactly like you're saying, like in those myth ways. First question, do you like the outcomes you're getting?
Yeah.
So this, if you don't like the results you're getting in your business in terms of money making, you've got to start asking yourself, where do I start to shift something because it's not working? So, and that's okay. Don't beat yourself up. That just creates more of that cycle of you feeling like you're constantly trying and not getting the results you want. So the question is, how do I get aligned and get the results that I want? I got to start picking apart my belief systems and what it is that I'm attracting based on my expectations. And so if you expect the money making to be hard, and you expect to struggle, and you expect that you're not going to make the money that you want to make, that's what you're going to keep creating. So you want to start asking yourself, is it possible to step into easier money making? Is it possible for me to get better results? Who do I need to access as a resource, or what do I need to access as a resource to help me shift some of my energy around my myths, the beliefs that I have that are myths in my head? And if you can do that yourself, go for it. There's plenty of books out there. If you need help, contact one of us. There are ways to dramatically change your life, your love, your money fast. And I'm not saying like in a day. That sure, you can have big shifts in a day. If you're willing to work on yourself really strategically for a year. I was thinking about this when you said this, Macy. Like 4 years ago, I was on food stamps. It's like I've dramatically changed my life in the last 4 years. And so I know it's possible to shift big things pretty quickly. And so, and say, just start asking yourself, if I don't want to keep getting the results that I'm getting now, what am I willing to do to shift this? And who am I going to resource to help me see what I can't see right now? That's what I would say the action step is.
Yeah, I think that's everything. And looking into your world, do you like it? Not like it? Would you like something to change? What's it going to take?
Yes. Okay. So next week, what time are we going to be here next week? I know we've
I think we're going to be here the same time next week.
Is it 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time or noon? I can't remember what we decided.
Oh,
We will let you know.
Yeah,
ahead of
we
time,
will let
everyone.
people know. It'll be Monday now.
We're shifting to Mondays instead of Thursdays.
Yeah.
So we'll be here on Monday, and we will let you know what time. And if you have questions, leave them at the bottom of this video. We can answer them live time.
Exactly. We love having you guys here, and we love hearing your questions because that can feed one of our conversations.
Yes, absolutely. All right, everyone. Have an amazing, fabulous week.
Bye, everyone.
Next round.